Good morning, welcome to the channel. We are back at the cottage. It's been about 3 months. There's snow, as you can see, quite a bit of it, but this has all been within the last few days because I was up here briefly last week and there was no snow, so it's been a little bit up and down. It is beginning of January. Usually we do have a bit more snow than this. Just cleared off the panels. As you can see, there's about an inch of snow on there. Hopefully the sun can melt that last like 1/8 inch of ice that's on them. The plan for today and next few days while I'm here is to do the trim on the inside, the Whitewash Pine trim, so we'll jump inside and start on that. Before we get going, we need to make some coffee. Not much has changed, like I said. If you remember the last video, it was an update video on how far I got last time, which was basically just moving the kitchen cabinets in. We do have the countertops for the cabinets now. So we do have the kitchen cabinets in place. For the island, we'll be doing a 1.75 inch slab of maple. And then we'll have 3 shelves that are above the stove that I'll install. And over on this side, we'll just do a standard laminated countertop. Coffee. Okay, so like I was saying, we have the countertops for the kitchen cabinets now. I can go ahead and install those. Those 3 maple shelves will be installed above the stove. We'll probably get a few more for in that corner, just so we have a little more extra shelf space, because we won't be doing full uppers, just really not the room, so we'll just do the open shelving for that. I guess the trim is the last video I did up here, where I routed the edge of it on a 45 or is it a 25-degree angle, give it a bit of a profile because it was just flat stock when we got it. So here's the casing here. It's 3.5. There's a bit of a chamfer on the edge, not much of a profile, just nice and clean. And then the baseboard as well, I think it's 5 inches, and it also has the chamfer on the edge here. So we will whitewash this and then give it a urethane protective coat, just a clear coat on top of it to protect it. And that's what I'll be doing today. It'll probably take all day to get this whitewashed and urethane. So that's pretty much the game plan for the casing. It'll be pretty straightforward. It will just be the prep work that might take a little bit of time. Today I'll focus on getting the prep work done, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll start installing it. I'm gonna have to clear space here to lay out all this trim so I can prepare it. Alright, I started setting up for applying the whitewash over here, but I'm actually going to move it over to the kitchen. And I'm going to use these countertops as my sawhorses essentially. I'll just make sure I protect them well, and I can span across from countertop to countertop. It'll be an easier working height and I'll actually be able to fit more on there. So I'll apply it there and move it over here onto the plastic to dry. I think that's my goal. I think that'll be a good idea. Okay. Time to set up the second part, I guess. Alright, the countertop, the floor is all protected with blankets and plastic. Now, we'll begin the process. Wonder if my solar panels have been cleared off. Okay, I got some materials up here, most of the casing anyways, that I can go ahead and start with preparing. There isn't actually much prepare work, so it's more of the application now of the whitewash itself, and for that I'll be using the Bullzeye 123 primer. The thought process behind that is that this is a good stain blocker, and because pine tends to yellow, most wood does, but pine especially tends to yellow over time and bleed through. I hope to use this to eliminate that as much as possible, rather than any other product. I think it'll be a good idea. I've used it once before in the past and it seemed to have held up decently well. I might dilute it a little bit with some water just to make it a little thinner so more of the grain can show through, but I'll do a little test to make sure before I commit to the whole can. So once the whitewash is all done and dry, it's ready for the clear top coat, which I'll be just using a Varathane for. You can see it here. It's more top of the line in terms of durability. It's actually meant for flooring. It is a satin finish, so we'll try and eliminate some of that glossy look by going more flat. And I just went with a higher scratch resistance because it is a cottage, so it will see abuse with different people coming in and out of it, as well as just having it protected against any moisture, because the temperature is probably going to fluctuate in here quite a bit when it's not in use to when it is in use, and just being in Canada it will regardless. So I want to make sure if it does go through any temperature swings that it's protected from any moisture. That will be the game plan for that. Okay, so this is the back side of the trim. I'll just do a bit of a test sample to see if I do need to add some water to this to thin it. So I have used this method once before. Obviously this will be a problem already, as you can see the streaks of the rag, the ridges. That looks pretty good actually. I don't know if you can see the comparison between here and here. The question is, should we go heavier than that? The other option is using a brush. Alright, we're going to end up going with the lighter whitewash, which is on this side here that I applied with the rag. The brush is just too solid looking. That defeats the purpose of having the grain show through. I won't do anything with the primer, I'll leave it as is, and we will begin. Not quite sure the best way to dunk it in there, but most of this clear pine is good for knots, but the knots are definitely the thing that will bleed through the quickest. Okay, so this first piece is done. It looks good. I'll grab another piece so you can see a side-by-side comparison here. So you can definitely see the difference between the whitewash in comparison with the bare wood that hasn't had anything done to it yet, how yellow the pine looks. And then hopefully with that Bullzeye 123 primer, which does have that stain blocking feature to it, hopefully that will protect the wood from yellowing over time, or at least as quickly. Okay, this is probably actually like watching paint dry, so I'm going to get back to you in about an hour when hopefully this is all done. Okay, that first batch is done. Did take a little bit longer. It's a little time consuming using the rag and making sure it's applied evenly, but nonetheless it looks pretty good. I'll give you a closer view. So these are the first few pieces I did that are dry now. You can tell that there is still some grain showing through, but it does really give a pale bleached look to the wood in comparison to the backside, with just how yellow that is. Okay, I cleared up the counter space here, set them all over on the floor there to dry. We are ready for round two. Okay, it's taking a little bit too long with the rag method, so I've watered down the paint a little bit. I'm going to use the brush, by thinning it down, hopefully it absorbs into the wood a little bit more, and it's easier to spread as well, just to speed up the process a bit, because I'm not even halfway through and I've already been at it for like 2 hours. So hopefully it'll work. I just sand this corner off because it's quite sharp. If I don't, then the paint and Varathane will have a trouble adhering to that sharp corner. So just break it. Okay, this batch is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the second batch. I'm probably about halfway through. It is starting to get a little darker, and because I just got up here and there was snow on the solar panels, there's not, well, there probably won't be enough electricity actually to run the lights, so I might have to stop a little earlier as it gets darker. We'll see though. The baseboard should go a little quicker because I don't have to do the one edge, which saves a bit of time. Okay, I just finished up this baseboard here. As you can see, it's pretty much the same application as the casing. It's a little bigger, so it takes a little longer. But I'm probably gonna end the video there. I have that whole stack to do in all the jams, so it's a little repetitive watching. I might tack on to this video the Varathane section, which will be the next step after this has dried. I'll apply the clear coat finish to it. So if I do add it to this video, I'll see you now. But if it ends up being a separate video, then thanks for watching this episode, and I'll see you in that one.